Hi there, this is Harry from the Gamers Watch podcast, and I support the Activision Blizzard walkout.
Hi, this is Shaun from the Gamers Watch podcast, and I support the Activision Blizzard walkout.
Hi, this is Duncan from the Gamers Watch podcast, and I support the Activision Blizzard walkout.
This show is a part of the Quite the Thing media podcast network.
Hello, and welcome to episode 29 of the Gamers Watch podcast. I am Shaun, and as always, I'm joined by Harry.
Hello!
And once again, we have Duncan.
Alright.
That sets the tone of how you're feeling.
Yeah, not happy.
That guttural moan pretty much sums up your day today, doesn't it, Duncan?
It's a very disappointing day, Harry, yeah.
However, as I say about 100 times on this show, we'll talk about that a little later, won't we, Shaun?
Yes, we will. And I'll quickly wrap through the other things, because we actually have a fair few games to talk about this time compared to normal.
We do. We are actually putting the gamers in Gamers Watch.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Times they are a-changing. So, if you enjoy this podcast, or even if you don't, give us a like on Twitter at GamersWatchCrew. If your platform of choice allows you, then leave us a little review. And buy our bloody merch. Someone. I think that's it. Oh, share it with your local air traffic controller.
Air traffic controller, yeah, that's the one.
What was you going to say?
I was going to say exactly the same, and I can't believe that you said it first. I think Duncan, we don't do this over video, but I think Duncan's probably just like head in hands, shaking in rage just at the thought of an air traffic controller at the moment.
I'm going to go and power bomb my local air traffic controller.
Suplex your local pilot.
It's not his fault, isn't it?
No.
Completely innocent.
Microsoft's fault.
He's just sat there the same as us going, where's the planes?
We do have something good to talk about later on, though, because, Shaun, it's the return of an old segment, isn't it?
It is, yes.
It's the return of Duncan Voices Indie Choices. I had to say that like I was a radio presenter. Welcome along to Duncan Voices Indie Choices. Your games, your voice, the man, the myth, the legend. So yeah, we've got the return of Duncan Voice Indie Choice. Can't wait for that. We will be discussing two games, one of which we broke our Twitter with doing a giveaway, and the other is a game that Duncan has been playing a fair bit as well. However, the first thing we need to do is disappoint everyone, don't we, Shaun?
Oh, yes, it's that time.
It is indeed. So, last week's game in 60 seconds, I think we did quite well. However, Bleep and Zoe have said that we were cheating because your game wasn't technically out on Game Pass yet.
Yeah, but
it will be by the time this episode comes out.
You gave them so many hints in that chat once they were struggling.
I did, and they still didn't get it. But Shaun, what was your clue?
My clue was, I only settle for the highest grade deodorants. And
what was that?
That was the A-Scent.
Decent. Works perfectly.
Yep.
Brilliant clue. And I think that possibly the one that I had last week was the best clue I've ever done up until this week's one, which I'm really proud of. My one was, don't put Earth on the table, you'll leave water rings. And that is Planet Coaster. Amazing. Properly impressed with that one. However, last time Duncan was on the show and it was Game in 60 Seconds, I forgot my clue, didn't I, Dunks?
Yes, you did, and you're welcome.
Who's forgotten it this time?
I believe that Shaun's forgotten it this time.
I forgot it.
And he's been self-isolating. He's been self-isolating for 10 days. What's his excuse?
I've been watching the countdown timer for Flight Sim.
Laziness is your excuse. So, Duncan, do you want to kick us off with your game in 60 seconds this week?
Yeah, it's not as fancy as my last one, but there's not a lot of us, but we do all right. End of clue.
There's not a lot of us, but we do all right. I'm okay with that one. I think that's a decent one. I'll give you that one. My one, though, very sorry, Duncan. It sort of blows that completely out of the water.
Wow.
Because my one is the best one that I've ever done.
Big shout.
And it makes sense. My one is, I've scammed that idiot who keeps sending me abuse on Twitter. I've scammed that idiot who keeps sending me abuse on Twitter. So, very happy with that one. So, again, as always, if you're listening to this show, if you think you know what that is, send us a DM at GamersWatchCrew, and we'll either tell you that you're wrong, or we'll tell you to get a fucking life. Either one of those. Now, Shaun, game in 60 seconds time.
We've just done that.
Oh shit! Game Pass or play time. Back to our normal self.
Get out.
As good as always, the hopefully award-winning Gamers Watch podcast. As always, putting in a shift. So it's Game Pass or play. I got you to play a game that Duncan absolutely loves.
Yes, you did indeed. We actually talked about it in season 1.
I think that was the original indie choice.
It was. Yeah.
It was the first stamp of approval. However, it is a game where in the first 5 minutes a dog dies. And if anyone was listening last week, you'll know that Shaun's dog died. And then I got him to play a game where a dog dies straight away.
Yeah, cheers.
So I would like to apologise for that. I did see your tweet where you were like, "Oh, great. Cheers, guys.
It was like,
Thanks.
oh, lovely,
Thanks for the dead dog."
Lovely looking game. 5 minutes later, fuck this game. The screenshot of the dog getting dragged to its death.
Yeah. However, other than that, bit of a banger in my opinion. And I also played a banger myself. I played Descenders. I'm going to talk very quickly about this because, truth be told, I only put about 2 or 3 hours into it because I was playing a different game that we will talk about later on. I was playing Descenders and it's really fun. I don't really know what else I can say. It's a procedurally generated BMX game. The first person view is utterly insane and I love it. You get given certain tasks to do, so you can just go from point A to point B, but you won't get much experience for it. You'll be given tasks like do backflips or ride over a certain amount of hills or jump a certain height. And involved in it is you work your way around a map, and each level is a new procedurally generated map, and then it gets to a final stage, and the more stages you do, the later on in the day it gets, and the more difficult it gets. And it's just really properly great bonkers fun. And if anyone is stuck for a game and they just want to turn it on for half an hour and just have some fun, go and play Descenders. It is a gameplay from me. So that is my review of Descenders. Really, really bonkers, great fun. Easy to pick up. Steep learning curve. Easy to grasp. Difficult to master. Properly fun. And also, Mike Rose on Twitter is one of the best developers who talks about Game Pass, and my favourite thing to do is watch him slam down fanboys. It's great. But yeah, Descenders, banging game. Go play it. Shaun, how was Plague Tale?
Plague Tale, I feel, is a kind of like how this podcast goes. So the first 2/3 I really enjoyed. Like, it's a proper grim stealth game where you don't feel like overpowered, so you have to use like your slingshot to either knock enemies out or like extinguish fires or lure rats and that. Last third kind of goes completely off the rails. It's
In what sense?
the only way I can describe it is it feels like the developers had the like game design document up, and then halfway through development someone accidentally erased the word stealth and put the word action in. So like I think if I remember right, Duncan said about the final boss where it's just completely different to the rest of the game, but it sort of feels like the story and like some of the actual gameplay does as well. So like instead of sneaking around, you're suddenly having to quickly fire this like clunky ass slingshot at guards, and it often misses even though it says it's locked on. The story goes from obviously not realistic because there's thousands of rats chasing you, but semi-grounded to there being this king rat boy with superpowers and a disease. So yeah, I don't know, it went in a completely different direction in the last third, which kind of threw me off guard a bit.
Did it Donut County a little bit then?
Oh yeah,
That was my gripe with Donut County, was the last level is a fucking helicopter.
yeah.
It kind of does, but it's more the last third of the game, and then the final boss as well is just completely out of nowhere, sort of like action instead of stealth.
I thought the last boss was the worst part of the game, by a long way. It just didn't fit in with everything else.
Yeah.
So I want to sort of caveat this with a game that we will talk about later, and I know that all three of us have got to this point of Death's Door, and I will definitely bring this up later on. But one of my favourite things about Death's Door so far is a level called Avarici, I think it's called, and it basically is a culmination of all the skills that you learn in that first level put together, and it's like, these are all the things you've learned, now go and put all of those things into one compact 5-minute set piece, enjoy yourself. So does Plague Tale do the opposite of that, where it's like, you've been doing all of this game, you've been stealthy, you've been taking out guards, you've been playing hide and seek with that little boy, and then the last third is like, right, now go Senua on everyone's ass? Does it just like flip it out of nowhere?
Kind of, yeah. So it's like the main parts of the game. You're obviously sneaking around being stealthy, and you use your slingshot, which you have to sort of wind up and then release. And then the last third of it, it kind of throws stealth out the window, and it's like, okay, here's 5 guards that are going to chase you down, and you've got to slingshot each of them in a row. But the slingshot's really... it might just be that I was terrible at aiming, but the slingshot felt really like clunky, so I'd wind it up, they'd be running towards me, and it would have the little yellow like reticle to say that it's locked on, and I'd throw it, and it would just sort of like zoom past their head, and then they'd stab me, and I'd be like, oh, for fuck's sake. There was one part in particular, I think literally just before the final boss, where one of your companions is like pushing this cart past a load of archers, and you've got to stay the other side of the cart, but there's guards that are like constantly chasing you down, and you've got to keep slingshotting them. But I think I died about 10-15 times on that one, just because the slingshot kept locking on and then missing as soon as they ran past me. So
that doesn't sound great.
Yeah, it was a bit, like I said, the last third is just completely different to the first 2/3.
The question is though, Shaun, is it a Game Pass or a gameplay?
Oh, it's still a gameplay, definitely. It's well worth a playthrough. It's just get ready for things to go a bit in a different direction in the last third.
Do you hope then, because obviously the new Plague Tale is coming to Game Pass, I think early next year, would you rather them stick with the stealth? I'll ask this to obviously yourself, Duncan, as well, because you've played and completed it. Would you rather them stick with the stealth aspect or go full action adventure?
I'd rather stealth. I think it suits the theme a lot more, and stealthy games, you're usually more vulnerable, sort of thing, and obviously you're supposed to be this little girl and her brother going through the rat infested streets, so you're supposed to be vulnerable. So I'd like it to stay stealthy. I imagine they're going to have action parts, but hopefully it's a bit more polished, I guess, those parts. And also the story, I'd rather the story stay a bit more grounded. Right.
What about yourself, Duncan?
Weird evil guy at the end.
Yeah, I completely agree. It's better when there's much more peril, when you're not super powered and you can just chuck a mountain of rats at someone. Like the first 2/3 are the most memorable because it's a challenge, and I'm shit at stealth games. But I was enjoying it so much because it looks so amazing. But yeah, it's so bizarre how it just turns into an action game, and the mechanics aren't there to support that. But yeah, I mean, interesting to see what they do with the second one. I love it anyway because the first one was so good. But yeah, just don't do that again. Don't make it action.
So a gameplay for the first 2/3 and then a game ambivalence for the last third.
Yeah, a game might as well get through it because you've already invested yourself into these characters. Also, I just want to say the ending, once you beat the final boss, is there's no like sort of wind down with the characters. It's just you kill the final boss, he falls back, he dies, and then it cuts to credits.
Really?
Yeah, there's like a short scene after, or like midway through the credits, but other than that, it just ends.
Oh wow! So it's Sopranos itself. Jesus.
I mean that. So I've got to talk about the boss. It's so annoying because all of a sudden you've got to learn like these attack patterns, and that's all it boils down to. And I know like Death's Door is similar, but that's the game. It's just kind of learning like what to do. But this one, you go the entire game being a bit stealthy, and then right at the end, all of a sudden you've got to learn like different waves and attacks of this boss, and it's so bizarre like how different it is compared to the rest of the game.
Yeah.
One other quick thing I'd like to see improved, I guess, in the sequel is having the stealth bits be a bit more open. So like there was all the like stealthy sections in the first one. There's a very specific order that you have to take like guards out most of the time, otherwise you'll just get seen. There's no like, it doesn't like chuck you into an open area and be like work your way from A to B sort of thing. It's mostly like very small rooms or linear corridors.
It's like go here, stand here for a certain amount of time, wait for the person to turn around, and then go to this next place and keep doing that?
Sort of, yeah. So it'll be like a little open area, and there'll be like 4 guards. But instead of just being like, here's some tools, figure out how to lure a guard away or something, it'll be like,
Yeah.
you have to take him out first, otherwise they're going to see you. But if you go that way, you'll get seen. So like it feels like it's more trial and error. So you have to take until you
Right.
find like the specific route they've designed for you to take. But it's still fun.
Well, a gameplay still, but
Yeah.
let's hope the next one makes a few improvements.
A bit
I think
more-
it will. I think obviously the scope of the game is going to be massively different due
Yeah.
to the success of the first one. So there's only one way really I see it going. I'll be interested to finish it because I'm about 3 hours in to the first one, and just my anxiety levels being a dad and having to look after this little boy were just like off the chart. So I will try and eventually get round to actually finishing a game, Shaun, I promise.
I was just going to say as well, I think it might just be that I don't have a heart, because I couldn't stand the boy when I had to look after him. Like this one bit near the start. And I think I put it on Twitter as well, where you've run away from the like starting area, your home, and you find this old woman who takes you into her house for shelter, and the kid starts bashing a fucking hammer against the wall, screaming for his mum, and your character's like, you have to be quiet because we'll get found and they'll kill us, and he just carries on bashing and then runs away. I'm like,
It's almost as if a 5-year-old boy doesn't understand the concept of life and death and murderers. How bizarre is that?
yeah, but leave him.
Yeah, as you can tell here, Shaun isn't a dad.
No, in like entertainment things, I always find the kids are annoying because they're always the ones that cause the trouble.
Shaun, as a dad, I can tell you that kids are annoying. They are. Genuinely. They're great, but oh my god, they tear your hair out annoying sometimes.
And he's got this one's got the proper like typical high pitch kid voice as well.
Well, I'll tell you what, I'll give you an idea, Shaun. Theo does this great thing at the moment, where if you say no to him, so say he walks into the kitchen, opens the kitchen door, goes into the snack cupboard and gets an entire packet of biscuits, and you say, no, Theo, give it here, he will throw the biscuits at your face and slap you and run away, and then face the wall and scream as loud as he can.
Yeah, but see, that's hilarious. That's much better than banging a steel hammer against a workshop.
Not hilarious when it's like 7 hours of it non-stop, Shaun. So, yeah.
The biscuit
Came home
replacement
today.
Great.
Came home today and he had sat himself on the stairs and he was just sulking on his own. And I was like, why is he upset? It's because he wasn't allowed to jump off the sofa into nothing. And then the other day, we went to the beach and I had to stop him from walking into the ocean and drowning. And he wasn't happy with that. Wasn't a fan of not drowning to death. So threw a massive hissy fit.
That reminds me of when my nephew Ashley was a bit younger, and my sister sent me a picture of him like absolutely bawling his eyes out, like stood up leaning against the sofa. And I was like, what did you do? And she said, I just told him he can't eat the sofa.
Well, my lad screams and shouts when you tell him not to stick his fingers in plugs and kill himself. So I'm going to say the kid in A Plague Tale, pretty tame if I'm honest, Shaun.
Got to learn one way, mate.
Pretty tame. Now, from one thing that annoys us quite a bit to another thing that has annoyed Duncan endlessly today. So next week, over the next 2 weeks, we will be playing Flight Simulator as our Game Pass or Play game, because it launched today, which is the 27th, which is the day of this recording. However, before we talk at all about Flight Simulator, klaxon time! Shaun, you have to do it. I don't know the rules.
Okay.
I don't remember it.
Okay, so it's the third episode of the 4 episodes we're running the competition for. And we basically give you a password in each episode, and then you send the passwords to us on Twitter at GamersWatchCrew.
Also, we're not going to tell you what those passwords are now. You have to go back and listen to the passwords to get them to send them to us.
Oh yeah, catch up. Give us viewers.
What can you win, guys?
It is to win 6 entire months of Xbox Game Pass Ultimate, courtesy of the Midweek Mix-Up podcast. And I'm hoping you've come up with a password this week, Harry, because I thought you were doing it, so I haven't thought of one.
I haven't, because I thought you were doing it, because I did the last one.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So,
so what have we had?
I'm going to say cat food, because I'm looking at
Okay.
some cat food. So the password this week is cat food. Don't know
Fair
why.
enough.
It's just there. So yeah, cat food is the clue. That's a good one, isn't it?
I guess, yeah.
Yeah, why not?
I would have gone for mate, but there you go.
Fuck it. The password.
This is where we
Don't
get
know
to
why.
see
It's
we get
whatever.
to see who listens just for the password and who actually listens for the whole show.
So if somebody sends us cat food now, fuck off, mate. We don't want you. We're just going to be inundated with people sending us cat food now, aren't we?
Just about jog on.
So, Duncan, what's the password? What is...
Come on.
Hang on.
Come on, Harry.
Shaun, you introduce the next segment and I'm going to Google...
Oh,
Shaun, just introduce the next segment, all right? And I'm going to do some Googling.
Okay, so the next segment is called Come Fly With Nobody. Because we all got very excited to play Microsoft Flight Sim today. And then, like...
Duncan, that's disgusting.
Okay,
Are you kidding me?
you're going to have to carry on, Harry. I'm searching it now.
Oh, mate.
I've said the title.
Duncan.
You just need to say the
Is it?
description.
Shaun, we
Grow
can't
up.
have that. No, Shaun, we
How's
cannot
it-
have that as the
it-
password.
Is it...
Yeah.
Oh, mate, we cannot have that as the password. I'm going back to cat food.
I don't know why.
Both smell of fish.
Oh my god. Oh, you can't
I mean, you
say
brought me
that.
on. I mean, you know.
Came from...
Oh, where were we, Shaun?
Come Fly
Come
With
fly
Nobody.
with nobody.
So,
So,
yeah, we were-
yeah, Duncan, last time you were on the show, we were talking about your excitement and all of our excitement for Flight Simulator coming to the Xbox. How has release day been for you, mate?
Fucking shit. I just want to say a thank you to is it Big Chef Little Chef Pods?
Yes.
Because the chap actually reached out to me after I chatted about my dad last time, and it really massively appreciated. So thanks, mate, for listening. But yeah, really disappointed. Haven't been able to fucking play the cunt today. Took the day off. Didn't realise that it was out at 4 p.m. because every single game comes out at midnight. So why is this really fucking different? Apparently, I missed the one tweet 3 days ago that said it's at 4 p.m. Not that matters.
Did you book the day off before that tweet anyway?
I booked it off last week. Like,
Yeah, so it wouldn't matter when that tweet came out.
oh,
then.
it's fucking. And then, so I didn't realise. Went to the gym this morning, come back, loaded it up, and it was playing. I thought, brilliant. Oh, it's loading up. And then it said, oh, you know, it's releasing today. And then I twigged that it was out later on. So just fucked about, played Biomutant all day. And then loaded it up at 4 o'clock. So excited. And there's a 78 gigabyte patch. What? I've honestly, I've never been so pissed off playing the game, and it's pathetic. It's a video game. Actually, no, it's a simulator, not a video game. I'm just so upset, and I've been like texting my dad all day. I'm like, yeah, I've got to play it today. I'll send you clips of me flying to Edinburgh and all that. And it's still downloading. I don't know why it's 78 gig. Fuck off.
Well,
whatever.
Duncan, if it helps,
Shit.
if it helps, mate, Ben Knapp86 did tweet at you saying they told the entire world what time the game launched. This tweet
Yeah.
is from 3 days ago.
Yeah, thanks,
so
mate.
does that help you at all?
No, it didn't. I mean,
No, did it not?
But-
Did that not instantly make you feel better?
But why? But I don't need to hate random cunts on Twitter. I don't care what you think. The game shouldn't come out at 4 p.m. Why is that? And if you are going to do that, like you know, it's a flagship game. You want to have all these. Oh, look at us! We've made some really kooky little now boarding assets to stick on Twitter. But actually, you can't play the fucking game at 4 o'clock because every cunt has got to download a patch. It's fucking stupid. And it's your flagship fucking game, and you haven't told anyone that there's a massive patch.
Duncan, if it helped, my one was only 27 gigabytes. So does that help you at all, mate?
No, whatever. Have a great time. I'm over it.
See, that doesn't make sense to me. Loads of people seem to have different like size downloads once they try to launch the game.
Okay, so I know what it is. I know what's caused this. So they put the game up for pre-download, right?
Yeah.
But it downloaded like a 285 megabyte thing to just a placeholder. However, the auto update for some reason just didn't work for some people. So what I did, really clever, before I went to work this morning, quickly turned on the Xbox. I was like, oh shit, my auto update's not worked. I set it to download, so it was downloading the game while I was at work. And then when I came home from work, I was like, wicked, I'll just quickly turn it. Oh shit, no, I've got 27 gigabytes. Now, Duncan, the reason that you've got 70 whatever is because the game is downloaded in 2 chunks. It downloads the online mode first, and then it downloads the offline maps.
But I loaded up the game this morning.
Yeah, but you only loaded up the online version of the game.
You loaded
I didn't have a fucking choice.
you only actually downloaded half of the game. So it had to download the second half and then the update. So I hope that makes you feel better, mate.
Why do you need to do this bullshit to play a game? Just want to play the fucking thing. It's fucking bullshit. Next week I'll be like, it's the fucking best thing ever. Oh my god, I'm so happy, guys.
Thing is I'm really enjoying everybody's tweets about it. It's great to see Colt Eastwood flying around Disneyland while I'm watching a 12 megabyte per second download bar take 7 hours to download a 27 gigabyte update. And also, I've got to pause it right now because if I have anything downloading or even Netflix playing while I try and record via Discord, my entire fucking internet comes to a grinding halt because the hamster wheel must fucking stop. Because who would have 2 devices connected to Sky Wi-Fi at the same time? Ugh.
Or
so yeah,
if you're like me, you manage to get through the update and then you stare at a loading screen for so long that your Xbox goes, oh, he must have fallen asleep on the sofa again. I'll put myself in standby mode.
Or you get through, you download the game, you download the update, you get to the main menu, and then it doesn't recognise that it's not in controller mode. It thinks it's in keyboard and mouse mode, so then you have to find a USB mouse to plug it in order to play the game.
Jesus.
Fucking
Smooth
stupid.
launch then.
I mean, in all seriousness, it's like it's a real big fuck up. Like, you know,
massive, yeah.
It's their flagship game, and like this is the game to be like, here's what Game Pass is. It's the tits. And you know, whatever, 4 PM release, get over it, dunk. But not even telling anyone, oh, just FYI, there's going to be a bit of a patch to download before you play it. Just nothing at all, not even acknowledging it.
And then when you have downloaded that patch, there's also the world updates that you need to do, and they're 9 gigabytes each.
Yeah.
It's so disappointing. And it does make me worry for like Halo Infinite, because people are going to go mental for that. And I think I'm not even going to bother trying on day one. I'm going to leave it a week or something just for servers to calm down.
The thing that I don't understand is that when Destiny 1 launched, I preloaded that entire game 2 weeks before launch onto my Xbox. Then the day before it became public, they uploaded the day 1 patch, and at 1 minute past midnight, I was playing Destiny, right? Currently, we are 6 hours after launch of Microsoft Flight Simulator, and I haven't even finished downloading the patch, and once that's finished, I then have world updates that are 9 gig each, that I then need to download separately. I'm likely not to play this, possibly until tomorrow night.
If you get past the loading
6 hours ago.
Yeah,
And that's if I get past the loading screens. It genuinely isn't good enough. And I know that we're ex-bots because we own a plastic box, but we need to be really critical of Microsoft here. This straight up is not good enough. And I understand that people are playing it already and enjoying it, but there's a huge majority of people that can't just download 27 gigabytes in half an hour. I'm seeing there's people that are like, oh, I can't believe I have to download this update, and it's like 27 gigabytes and it says like 17 minutes until downloaded. It's like, dude, I've got 7 hours to wait until the first update's done. It's not good enough. Isn't good enough. And why couldn't all of this stuff be done through smart delivery or through instant on mode? Like, I don't get it. Why is this just not updated for people? Surely that's the point of the new generation of consoles, is they're always connected, so they're always updating. Why do my games never auto update? Why is it that when I go on Sea of Thieves I have to manually update it and wait fucking half an hour for another 1 gigabyte update? Why is it that there are people that are now waiting on nearly 80 gigabytes worth of updates in order to play a game that they preloaded on their console weeks ago? It genuinely isn't good enough. Apologies for people that thought this was a funny podcast.
I don't
knock knock. Who's there? Not Flight Simulator.
I know what they're going to do. Like they won't acknowledge it. In a week's time, we'll all be playing it, and then we'll have a lovely time. But you know, it's just, I don't know. I feel like the sheen is starting to rub off a bit for me with Microsoft. So with obviously you've had the disappointment with Sea of Thieves not being as good as it looked in E3.
Yeah, massively.
Yeah, that Dungeons and Dragons is fucking shit, and it doesn't belong to be like, I can't get my fucking words out. It doesn't belong on the service because it's not a finished game.
No.
And so I just feel like they're kind of riding on the wave of Game Pass being a brilliant service, but I also said we can get away with this. Yeah, but, you know, I'm only paying a £10 a month, so I can't really whinge. But well, actually, no, I am paying for it, so
Yeah.
I want it to be good.
But there are some good games coming out. One of the games that is on there is Bloodroots, that you are going to talk about in a second.
Yeah.
But yeah, mate, I can't get over just how badly this launch is. There's been some stinkers of launches in the last few years. I'm not going to sit here and name a few because it would just be the next like half hour of the show would be us naming shit launches of games.
20 minutes would be CDPR.
Yeah, it would just be me raging about everything I hate about Cyberpunk. But there is an issue here where there's a lot of people. Like, I wanted to come home today after work and just fly around, and I can't do that. And I'm probably not going to be able to do that for a couple of days. Ryan, actually, on Twitter, who's one of our like best community members, he doesn't finish work until 10 p.m, which is, well, now. He wanted to just come home and play Flight Simulator, but seemingly his Xbox isn't going to auto-update. So he's now going to have a 27 gigabyte patch that he's got to have to download. And now he's not likely to play this game for another 2 or 3 days because he doesn't have the opportunity. There is something wrong with this. And we will call it out when it needs to be because, yeah, this launch stinks. This is, you know, this is a crash on takeoff. This is a tail strike and the plane's breaking up as it re-enters. Like, it's not great.
I don't think it's even that. It was sat on the runway and the landing gear just came up while it was stationary. It just
Yeah.
I mean,
onto the ground.
Just
isn't one of like the Game Pass taglines like "it just works," but all when it fucking doesn't.
yeah, I think on this occasion it just didn't. Is that enough moaning? Is that enough? Is that enough complaining, Dunks?
Yeah,
Shall we?
yeah.
For now. Join us next week when the Ascent doesn't work at launch.
Yeah. Yeah, join us next week when we call it the Descent and we do the same moan for 20 minutes. But look, there are still some great games on the service, and apparently one of them is Bloodroots. So Duncan, are you ready for Duncan Voices Indie Choices? How is Bloodroots?
It's fucking great.
I know nothing about this game, by the way. I don't know a thing.
I didn't know anything about it, and I just I needed something different to play. It's fucking great. I think, what do they describe it as? One hit, kill, die, retry, murder, ballet is the most succinct way of describing it. It's like an isometric, really vicious beat 'em up game of chess. It's so fucking hard to explain. So you play as like a berserker. Something happens, you get kicked out of the clan or whatever. But then you have to go around each level and just tear everyone to shreds. But it's really, really fast paced, and it reminds me most of Hotline Miami. I don't know if you
Okay,
either
I
played
absolutely
it.
love that.
Yeah,
One of my
love
favourite
that.
Switch games, that is.
But you know, if you you got stuck on a level, but you'd, before you went through the door, you'd plan it out. So you're like, okay, well, I'll kick this door open, pick up that shotgun, shoot this guy, chuck it at the guy down the hall, pick up this assault rifle, and you would kind of plan out like your route like a game of chess. And it's really similar in Bloodroot. So once you twig the route, it's like this wonderful fucking bloody ballet. It's brilliant. So like you'll run in, you'll pick up a sword, you'll dash through, stab the guy. And one really good thing actually is that you only get 3 hits on each weapon, so you can't just pick up a rowing oar and just swing it around and kill everyone. So you've really got to plan it out. So pick up this sword, kill 3 people, pick up this plant pot, lob it at this bloke, pick up a rifle, shoot this guy, and then you kind of gracefully kind of bounce around these levels like you're fucking John Wick, and just leave a trail of blood behind.
So do you pre-plan all of the moves and then just you go, right, go, and then you watch?
No, so it's all done. It's all like live action. So
yeah,
if you get hit once, you die, like Hotline Miami. But
Okay.
a bit like Death's Door. So you kind of you'll learn the level. So you'll be like, okay, well if I've died 15 times with this bit now. Maybe this time, if I pick up this sword and go this way, kill that guy first, and then stab this guy then, and then I'll be able to go down this route, and then you'll end up just figuring out this route of murder as you go through the levels. It's brilliant. I mean, you can play it for 10 minutes and know exactly what you're going to get, and if you like it. But it's something completely different. It's so much fun. It's a proper great little time waster. I'd definitely recommend it if you just wanted something different. And I imagine it's great on cloud on your mobile.
So does that get the Duncan Voice Indie Choice Award?
Indie Choice Award. Slap it on.
Bosh. Shaun, you've got some work to do now.
Please put a slap sound effect in there.
Yeah.
I will do, don't worry. I will do. Now, we need to talk about a game all three of us have been playing. Our Twitter is currently giving it away. I think every single Xbox community member on planet Earth is currently giving this game away. We need to discuss my current game of the year, Death's Door, because, yeah, this game is just amazing. And I think that I want to just very quickly read a tweet out. He's one of the followers of our show. He's a really supportive guy. It's Fonz, who is just one of the best people on Twitter. It's Jay Fonzarelli, if you wanted to try and find him. He's the host of the Games Talk Live podcast, and he's also an RDX podcast panelist. He's brilliant. And something that he put on Twitter that really resonated with me is he said, I got the tweet here in front of me, a game that cost me $17 is currently my game of the year. In an industry so focused on big budget blockbuster gaming and hellbent on selling us these titles of upwards of $70, I had my best experience so far in 2021 with a sub $20 purchase. Yeah, that pretty much sums it up for me. This is a game that is, a quarter of the cost of a AAA game, and that there's not one thing currently that I can find that I don't like about it. Duncan, your Indie Voice is the host, so I'm going to let you run with this, but I just want to say, from my point of view, I absolutely, utterly love this game. It is outstandingly good, and yeah, we'll talk about it in a little bit, but Duncan, you go with it. You just talk about what the game is, the feel of it, and then me and Shaun will jump in when we want to.
Cool. I think the main thing to bear in mind with Death's Door as well, it's made by two blokes from Manchester, and it's the reason why I love indie games anyway, because like Fon said, you've got these AAA games that cost a bomb, they're just cookie cutter, whereas indie games you just get these unbelievable experiences, just like proper labours of love. And Death's Door, yeah, it's game of the year, easy. I was playing a little bit earlier on after getting fucked off with Flight Simulator, and even though it's very challenging, it just totally chilled me out. Like I haven't played a game in so long where I'm just completely like laser focused on it. So if anyone hasn't seen it or knows anything about it, it's again another isometric game. It seems to be
It's a
kind of
Souls-like, isn't it?
No, fucking not. I hate any game that's hard, and everyone's like, "Oh, it's a Souls-like."
Yeah,
It's
but
fucking not.
Duncan, you have to dodge attacks.
There's one thing I just want to say is that I actually, not combat-wise, but I can see some, like, I guess similarities to Dark Souls, mainly in the overworld and how it's structured. So, like, it's like one big world, essentially. It's all connected to each other, and you have very sparse checkpoints. So say you die on a boss, you then have to work your way through the level to get back to the boss most of the time. And also with unlocking like different shortcuts, like opening the gates and that, so you can get from point A to point B quicker. I can see that is very similarly set up to Dark Souls, but the combat isn't in the slightest.
No.
And obviously how like the levels are laid out, sort of thing. So like the bosses and that as well is kind of Dark Souls. I don't know if there's any optional bosses though in Death's Door that you can miss.
There are, yeah.
Okay.
It's one of my favourite things. I'll talk about it in a little bit. Some of my favourite little things about the game. But yeah, Dunks, just lead in. What is the game about? What is the sort of structure of the game?
Yeah, so you play as a little raven, and you are ostensibly a Grim Reaper, but you work at a bureau of souls. I guess you need to go out and collect souls of the deceased to bring back to the bureau. And then so you head out into the world, and you're just really sweet little raven. Like Georgia loves me playing it because he's really cute. But then you have to go out into the world and get. I think the main of the story, you need to get three souls from 3 different like big bosses. And then there's kind of little hints of maybe they kind of work for the Bureau, etc. Favourite thing for me is the combat in particular, because I don't do very well with hard games. I bounce off them really quick because I'm just a bit lazy. But like I said before, like I've never been so like intensely focused on playing a game. And it's one of those things where you can go back and upgrade your skills, but you get better as a player. So over the weekend I finished the ceramic, I think the Urn Witch, and I must have died on that boss 40 or 50 times. But every time I died, it was completely my fault. And there was not one moment where I was like, this game fucking sucks, this is a piece of shit. I was like, it's my fault, I know what to do next time. And then I gradually just got better and better and better. And yeah, I don't know, I don't want to say loads, I think people should just play it. It's just...
Yeah, I mean, for
so
me...
good.
I genuinely don't think that there will be a game this year that will beat it in terms of... I went into this game knowing literally nothing about it. All I knew is that everybody was saying it was good. That was about as much as I knew. There was a moment of clarity for me where, like you say, I was dying on this one boss. He's a big castle, basically. You'll know the one that I mean, both of you. It's this big, tall building that fires missiles and lasers come out of it and it ground pounds the floor. And I just kept dying and dying and dying. But like you say, Duncan, every time I died, I was like, oh yeah, shit. To be honest, yeah, I went in a bit too hard then. So maybe I'll bow and arrow him this time. And then when he lands, maybe I'll dodge him, then attack from behind. And then when I do that, he'll smash on the floor. So I need to dodge back and then I'll pick him off from a distance. And then just over time, maybe I died 20 times on that mini boss. I just started to creep myself forward a little bit more. And then that satisfaction of beating it and being like, oh man, that was really intense. And then straight away, it doesn't give you a rest. It's like, right, gates open, here you go, next bit. I had 1 bit of health left, walked into the next room, smashed a pot that I'd never seen before, and it blew up and it killed me. And I was like, don't blow up. Don't smash the purple pots. They will kill you. Had to go through the entire level again to get back to that room. And I was like, there's an enemy near that pot. I'll bow and arrow it, and then I'll kill the enemy. And then you just subconsciously pick up these little things that you never have picked up before, so that when you die, you don't think, oh, fuck, this is stupid, I'm going to stop playing it. You're like, yeah, no, I'll give the game that. That was really dumb. I shouldn't have done that. One of the bosses is there's this big knight near the Urn Witch house. And I kept dying, and I just thought, you know what, I'm just not good enough to beat that dude yet. I'll come back there in about 5 hours, and then I'll try again. And the pinnacle for me is the end of the Urn Witch is a level called Avarici. And in that level, it throws at you all of the enemies that you've just faced in the Urn Witch's house, all in one tiny confined room, and you just have to survive and beat them all. And yeah, I might died about 40 times doing that, but that feeling when I finished that level of just, holy shit, like, I can't believe I did that. Because every time I played it, I got closer and closer. And the first time I died, it was the second wave, and there were 10 enemies still left on the screen. And then the next time there was maybe 8 enemies left on the screen, and I just kept slowly grinding ever so slightly closer to a point of just that last time that I did it and actually beat the level. I didn't actually get hit once, because it just, I had this muscle memory of, I go here, I do this, I dodge, I attack. I know that I can fling this green orb back at that boss, and then I can smash this, and oh man, I'd never felt that level of pure catharsism in a game before, where I was just and breathe. That it was just, that for me cemented it that this is a game that I don't think will be beaten this year for me. I'm going to call it very early.
I really like the build up to that Avarici level as well, because it's right after the Urn Witch boss. So you think that there's going to be a sort of moment of rest, and you collect your rewards and that, and then you you just get chucked into this room, and all these portals open with enemies flooding out of them. You're like, oh fuck!
It's like the game's the game's like, right, you think you're good, right, have a go, good luck. It
Yeah.
just chucks it at you, see how you get on. Because you get that roughly kind of around the same time in each like level. So I've just done the second one, and it took me a few tries, but by the end of it, I'm like, right, well, fucking bring it on, you cunts! Like, just like relish the challenge. Whereas usually I'd be like, fuck off, like, I'm fed up with this. But there's something magical about it. I can't put my finger on it, but it's spectacular. I don't know, it's the music. I was playing it earlier on, and it's just this really sweet little guitar rhythm. When usually you'd have like this, this big orchestral soundtrack in a fucking dungeon, but it's just this really sweet little guitar, little crow knocking about, doing his job. I just love it. Absolutely love everything about it.
I'll agree with that. It's the reason that I don't like Dark Souls is because I have no patience for getting good. I don't have time to do it. Shaun, how many times have I tried to play Dark Souls now?
I think it's like a yearly event for you now, isn't it?
Yeah, I'll be like, I want to play Dark Souls, and I'll turn it on and I'll die straight away and be like, this is why I don't like Dark Souls, because it doesn't have difficulty modes. It's
Need
boring.
to maybe do it, because I don't play any Dark Souls or Bloodborne on my own. I've done them all in co-op with Matt, and I find them so much more fun in co-op. Like, they're still tough, but it's not unbearably tough, and if you do like die loads, you're still having a laugh at your friend's expense because they also die, sort of thing.
I was worried with Death's Door that I was going to have that similar, I can't be bothered. But it looks so nice, it plays so well, the story is really intriguing, the characters are great, there's a really good sense of humour to it, that those things don't bother me. I'm blown away by how good this game is. It's utterly, utterly fantastic. I don't want to give it a 10 out of 10 because I don't believe in 10 out of 10s. So I'm going to give it an 11 out of 10. Just really, for me, it's going to take a lot for this game to get beaten. And also, you can't really compare it with like these big AAA titles that are coming out. But the fact, Duncan, that you said it's just two dudes from Manchester that have made this game, that in of itself just shows that games don't need to cost $70. They don't need to cost $250 million to produce. They don't need 5 years of research and development. Just make games. Like, that's not too difficult to ask, is it? Just make good games. Because it's clear that two people in Manchester can make a potential game of the year. Just do that.
Also, I just want to say as well, the characters, like each character's individual story so far from what I played, I love, because they could easily have just done simple, generic, like the Own Witch, for example. It's an evil witch. You'll see her throughout the house and then defeat her as a boss. But she actually ends up having like an ulterior motive that's completely not evil, and you find out little bits of information and like little story pieces here and there that paint a completely different picture. I loved one bit. I won't obviously spoil it too much, but there's one bit in particular where you get little hints that someone else has been sort of influencing her actions as well. I love those sort of things in games.
But something that I really enjoy about Death's Door as well is that you can just follow the path. You can just go from point A to point B, but it really does. It rewards you for exploring and finding out the little details, and it is a game that you can just lose yourself in for 2 hours and have not really done much of anything other than just explore this world to try and piece things together for yourself. And it's like the anti-Yakuza, where Yakuza tells its entire story through endless, monotonous, non-stop cutscenes. Whereas, again, this little game made by two guys in Manchester is showing that the gameplay and the story can just mesh together, and you don't need to have these big, long, overarching cutscenes in order to tell a story. Like, you can leave it to the player to find stuff out. It's just an utterly stunning game.
One of my very favourite things is such a tiny detail, but if you get signposts knocking about, and if you hit it, it will fall into two pieces. But then if you go to read it, you have to read the two separate pieces separately to get the whole message of it. It's such a tiny little detail, but it's all like,
and they definitely didn't need to do that. They didn't have to go into that little level of detail, but they did, because it's an absolute project of passion for these guys. And I really, really hope that this sort of propels them forward to make bigger and better things with the same level of passion. But before we go, we need to talk about one game designer who has a passion for talking about utterly shit game ideas he had.
I don't know who you're on about.
Shaun, we're on about you. Enter the Quaintrix.
Oh.
We've changed it slightly. We've changed it up very slightly. So
Yep.
basically, the reason that we've changed it up is because we've been talking about so many different games, and I was like, oh shit, we need to do Enter the Quaintrix. So the way that we're going to run it now is we're going to give Shaun 2 minutes to describe the game. So he's going to name the game, and once he said the name of the game, he has 2 minutes to describe the game, and we then put it up for a vote on our community day, which will be tomorrow if you're listening to this on day of release, but it will be, I believe, Sunday the 1st is the day it will be put up. Yeah, Sunday the 1st.
Yes, yeah.
Which will also be the day that the winner of Death's Door giveaway will be announced as well.
Ooh.
And we will put it up for a vote. Is this game better than Sir Crabbington Seaworthy? Me and Duncan, we won't even mention anything about it. We won't talk about it. We will just let Shaun say what the game is for 2 minutes.
Until you get too angry.
Yeah, if I do get too angry, then I may shout at you. But that's not the plan. So Shaun, what is the name?
My heart's racing.
What is the name of the game this week?
So the name of the game is it's Clove Cam. That's the project name.
Go.
Clove Cam.
You've just wasted 6 seconds. Go.
What, you didn't say go?
Go.
Okay.
Go.
So it is both a third and a first-person game. And
Don't like it already.
It's basically you have a handheld camera, a bit like in Cloverfield, and you go through different dungeons, but you can put the camera down or you can pick it up. So, for example, if you're being chased by a monster, you can put the camera in the corner of the room, hide in a locker, and you can see through the camera. Once the monster's gone, you can come out the locker, pick up the camera, and go on your merry way. It can
Annoyingly sounds good.
It can also be multiplayer, so if you've got like a party of players, you can hand the camera about to different people to be able to solve puzzles and get a different perspective. I didn't really think that much further. I thought 2 minutes was going to go a lot quicker than this. I do have a prototype actually of it made up, so I'll get some footage for Community Day for it. But the main thing is basically a first person game that can transition in and out of being third person also.
Okay, have you got any themes, any sort of scenarios, or any level designs?
I was thinking temple/dungeon style, just because of the like puzzle aspect of putting the camera down and moving it around, but nothing solidly put in.
Would there be combat mechanics?
No, I think it would sort of be like your Outlast sort of things where you have to run and hide more because, again, you put the camera in strategic places to know when the coast is clear. But I could add combat, I guess, maybe, somehow.
Would there be couch co-op mode?
Yes.
Would there be any variations of different characters that give you different abilities?
Possibly could use have different abilities for whoever's got the camera, but I haven't thought into that aspect of it yet. I've been mainly trying to do the actual mechanics of the puzzle solving.
There we go.
That
Your
your
time
timer?
is done. Your time is done. Okay.
Clove Cam.
Really, really annoyingly sounds quite good. What did you think, Dunks?
Yeah, I like the sound of it. Pretty good. There's a game, I think it was like the GameCube, where you had a camera and you had to kill a ghost by taking a picture of it. I can't remember the name of it. It's like a horror game. I'm going to kick myself and I'll work out what it is.
I'm going to search it quickly.
This is going to be some great content, by the way. We're just going to be Googling a GameCube game about a dude who took pictures of ghosts with a camera. Here's a very quick question. Here's a quick question for our listeners, just while we're
Fatal
waiting
Frame.
for Shaun.
That's it.
Oh, cheers, Shaun.
That's right.
Cut me
Quick
off.
at Googling.
Well, don't really know what to say now because I was literally about to say
Clove Cam
say a
was
question
inspired by
and-
Cloverfield, hence the
which
name.
is a banger of a film.
Clove
Love
Cam.
that film.
And I'm still waiting for a proper sequel.
They had a proper sequel, mate. They had the one with the underground bunker and they had the one in space.
10
What
Cloverfield
more do you
Lane,
want?
which I still love. Like, John Goodman in that is amazing.
Cloverfield Paradox was a piece of shit.
And then that was utter shit.
My question to our listeners was going to be, do you believe in ghosts? Because if you do, Duncan might have something of interest soon. So going to leave it at that. Thank you very much, everybody, for listening to our show. I have been Harry. Who have you been?
Shaun.
Duncan, I suppose.
Yeah. You're still really upset, aren't
Did you just turn around to check how long the update's got left?
Oh, I suppose I'm still Duncan and not Captain Voice. So, as always, thank you for listening to the show. If you did enjoy the show, please do share it with your local air traffic controller. Share it with a few friends as well if you like to. Don't forget that you can follow us on Twitter. We have literally just this second broken 1,600 followers, which is just utterly insane. So thank you to everybody who has followed us purely so they can win a game, and now that they haven't won it, they'll unfollow us and they'll never listen to our show again. Still haven't got Mick Foley involved. He is coming, don't worry guys. I'm on to his PR people. It's really bizarre. When I spoke to his main office, they didn't know who we were, which is weird because I thought they would know who we are by now. And as always, keep on listening.
And keep on gaming.
Or flying, as I put, which is quite fucking ironic, isn't it?
Yeah, but we're grounded.